Hey everyone, Emily here from Bob's Watches with another installment of Inside Watches. Are you interested in building a more valuable luxury watch collection or learning more about watch collecting in general? Well, you're in the right place because our series Inside Watches will share the best watch collecting tips and secrets from the industry. As always, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Bob's Watches YouTube channel to receive notifications on future videos just like this one. Today, we're going to take a closer look at the different Explorer II bezels. If you're familiar with watch collecting, you know how important even the smallest details can be. In some cases, they can even make the watch worth a lot more, so they're certainly worth paying close attention to. That is also the case with the Explorer II. Rolex introduced the series in 1971 as a tool watch for spelunking and other dark environment adventures. It was developed for optimal low-light visibility, featuring a large, luminous display on the dial, a fixed 24-hour bezel, and an arrow-tipped hand. By reading the arrow hand against the bezel, the wearer can keep track of AM and PM hours. Additionally, on all references except for the inaugural reference 1655, the arrow hand operates independently of the other centrally mounted hands, allowing it to read a second time zone. Reference 1655 also features one of the most distinct bezel variations in the Explorer II collection. The 24-hour scale uses hash marks for the odd numerals instead of the inverted triangles you're probably used to seeing on each of its successors. This bezel variation is unique to reference 1655 and is unmistakably retro, especially next to the dial decorated with older-style baton hour markers. We have a handsome example here featuring a striking albino dial in which the colored arrow hand has since faded to white to match the hour markers. Looking at this watch next to the reference 16550, you can see the difference in the bezels right away. Rolex replaced the hashes with inverted triangles, and the bezel font is larger and a bit chunkier. Reference 1655 remained in production until around the mid-1980s, during which a couple of bezel variations hit the market. Those included 4 production bezels and 1 service bezel, categorized into marks 1 through 4. For the sake of brevity, the most significant difference between the bezels were primarily in the thickness of the font and whether the numerals were close to the edge or positioned more towards the center of the bezel. Reference 16550 came to market next and is considered something of a transitional reference because it introduced the series to the caliber 3085 perpetual movement with an independent arrow hand and a larger 40mm case. With the new movement, the Explorer II essentially became a GMT watch, although the arrow hand could still be used to indicate AM and PM hours. It was also the first Explorer II to feature the now standard Mercedes hands and the dot, baton, and triangle hour marker configuration on the dial and inverted triangle bezel. Rolex only produced reference 16550 for a few years before replacing it with reference 16570 in the late 1980s. Although not as clearly defined as reference 1655, it does appear as though Rolex did produce a few bezel variations during reference 16550's production run. If you have an Explorer II reference 16550, we'd love to hear about which bezel it has in the comment section below. Looking at references 16550 and 16570 side by side, they are similar in design, with the biggest difference being the movement powering each watch. Reference 16570 used 2 different movements during its production run, caliber 3185 and 3186. So far, Rolex has released 2 more Explorer II references, reference 216570 in 2011 to celebrate the collection's 40th anniversary, and reference 226570 in 2021 for the Explorer II's 50th anniversary. Both references feature large 42mm cases, outfitted with the collection's signature fixed 24-hour bezel. Although both editions also pay tribute to the original reference 1655 with a bright orange arrow hand, the bezel remains contemporary with the inverted triangles instead of hash marks. There was some speculation leading up to the reference 226570's release in 2021 that we might see a ceramic bezel Explorer II, but it appears that Rolex opted to keep the collection classic in all steel. Well, that's everything you need to know about the Explorer II bezel variations in a nutshell. Check back soon for more watch collecting tips from yours truly. Until then, be well!